That $4,999 outboard and the Yamaha next to it that costs $1,400 more? Some of them are built in the exact same factory. So before you assume the cheap one is junk, you need to know what you're actually losing. Because it's real, but it's not what anyone tells you. It's hidden in 3 places. None of them show up on the price tag, and the one that does the most damage isn't the one you'd expect. We're going through all 3, and by the end, you'll know whether saving that money is the smartest move you'll make or the one you regret the day something goes wrong. To answer the question honestly, you first have to know which $4,999 outboard you're actually looking at. Because that one phrase covers 2 completely different machines, and people lump them together constantly. So on the one side is the respectable budget brand. The clearest example is Tohatsu, the second largest outboard maker in the world. Tohatsu motors are quiet, simple, and they earn loyalty from the people who can least afford a breakdown: commercial guys and fishing guides. On the other side is the true bargain bin motor, the kind you find at a farm store or scroll past on Amazon. The most common one is Parson, a Chinese manufacturer that started mass production back in 2006. And here's the first thing most buyers never realize. That Parson motor wears a lot of different costumes. The same engine gets sold as a Coleman, a Moppy, a Sea Dog, and others. Coleman doesn't build outboards. Coleman is a camping brand that licenses its name onto a Parson. So when you see 4 different budget motors at 4 different stores, several of them are the same engine with different decals on the cowling. Now, the part that genuinely surprises people, because it runs the other direction too. Under 30 horsepower, the line between budget and name brand gets blurry on the premium side. Tohatsu actually builds the base engines for certain Yamaha models under a manufacturing agreement. Every Mercury outboard at 30 horsepower and below is a rebadged Tohatsu. The old Nissan outboards were Tohatsus as well. So in the small motor world, Tohatsu versus Yamaha is sometimes the same block coming off the same line, wearing different paint and carrying different tuning. Even on the bargain end, there's a clue worth knowing. Owners regularly find that parts from the older Parson motors are compatible with old Yamahas, which tells you something about where those designs were copied from. Hold on to all of this because it's the key to understanding what your extra money is really buying. So let's answer the scary version of the question first. Do you lose reliability? Mostly no. And that's exactly what gets people in trouble because they expect the cheap motor to be the one that quits, and that's not where the real risk lives. Take the Tohatsu class motor. Owners run these for years and report nothing but routine maintenance. Mechanics who rig small skiffs all day say it flat out. For anything under 50 or 60 horsepower, a Tohatsu is hard to beat. Solid power, easy to service, and it shares parts with other brands. Even the true bargain motors aren't automatic garbage. There are owners with a little Parson that's run 5 years without missing a beat. Low tech and basically bulletproof. The kind of motor any small engine mechanic can work on because there's nothing exotic inside it. The US Coast Guard database shows no recalls for Coleman or Parson outboards. The smallest Coleman is even listed as Amazon's choice in its category. And there's history here worth remembering. When Honda and Yamaha first showed up decades ago, everyone called them cheap Asian junk too. Reputations can change. To be just as fair in the other direction, the name brands are not magic. A mechanic recently pulled a Yamaha F70 with only about 400 hours on it that had lost compression in 2 cylinders. A 1-year-old Tohatsu 40 needed an entire new power head, and then failed again. Every one of these motors, Yamaha, Tohatsu, Mercury, Suzuki, is built and assembled by humans, and any of them can be a star or a lemon. So if reliability isn't the clean dividing line, where does Yamaha's extra money actually go? It goes to 3 things. Here's the first. The first thing you lose with the budget motor is refinement. Not whether it runs, but how it runs. Yamaha spends real engineering on the things you feel rather than the things you see on a spec sheet. Their 4-strokes use a system called lean burn that stretches fuel economy at cruising speed. They have variable trolling RPM so you can nudge idle speed up or down in small steps while you work a shoreline. Smoother vibration, better cold starts on that first cold morning of the season, built-in anti-theft. None of that is essential. All of it is nicer to live with. The best description of the gap came from someone who tested a cheap Chinese outboard right next to a Yamaha. He said the budget motor had all the right ingredients, it just wasn't quite as good. Like picking up a Gordon Ramsay cookbook, following the recipe exactly, and still not getting Gordon Ramsay's plate. Owners who've run both say the cheap one feels cheaper in your hands. A little louder, a little rougher, not as polished. So that's loss number one. It's real, but be honest with yourself about how much it matters for your boating. On a primary saltwater rig you run hard every weekend, that refinement is worth paying for. On a backup motor or a calm lake tender, you may genuinely never miss it. Loss number two is bigger, and it's the one people discover at the worst possible time. The second thing you lose is network. The dealers, the trained mechanics, the parts sitting on a shelf within driving distance. This is the loss that costs people real money and real seasons on the water. Start with the warranty, because it's a trap if you read it wrong. Tohatsu offers up to a 5-year warranty on some of its 4-strokes. On paper, that beats Yamaha, but a warranty is only worth what you can actually collect on. And Tohatsu's dealer network is thin once you leave the major boating areas. Yamaha has around 2,000 dealers, trained and consistent, so you can get one serviced almost anywhere in the country. A 5-year warranty means nothing if the nearest shop that honors it is 200 miles away. And read the bargain motor warranties even closer. Parsons' 3-year limited warranty covers parts, but not the labor to install them. So even when a part is free, you can still be paying out of pocket to have it fitted, assuming you can find anyone willing to fit it. Now drop all the way down to the bargain bin motor and the network problem turns into a real nightmare. These are actual stories from owners. One bought a cheap Chinese motor, and when parts broke, he and a friend had to machine their own, because nothing was available and no marine shop would touch it. He finally sold it as a non-running motor. His own verdict: a slightly better used motor would have saved him both the money and the time. Another owner just gave up and, in his words, binned his. A repair shop owner explained the deeper problem in plain terms. The cheap motors cut corners exactly where you can't see them. Steel where there should be stainless, softer alloy, seals that crack early. His logic was hard to argue with. If a company can't build a simple trim motor that holds up, why would you trust it with an entire powerhead? Now, in fairness, the simplicity of these motors is also their one real defense. A basic Parson has no special electronics and no factory diagnostic software, so any competent small engine mechanic can usually work on one even without a dealer. That genuinely softens the blow on the smallest, simplest models. But it doesn't save you on the bigger 4-strokes, and it does not put a part in your hand that nobody stocks. So here's the second loss, stated clearly. With a Tohatsu, you lose some service convenience once you're outside the big boating hubs. With a true bargain motor, you can lose the ability to get it fixed at all, which means the day it breaks can be the day it dies. That is the cost that never appears on the sticker, and it's the one that hurts the most. Quick thing right here, because this is the exact moment it costs people. Your motor dies, you tow it in, and the shop tells you it's the powerhead, $5,000, when the real problem was a $40 part they never bothered to check. And the worst part isn't the money. It's standing there knowing you have no way to argue, no idea if you're being told the truth or played. The only people that doesn't happen to are the ones who walk in already knowing what's wrong and what it should cost. That's the entire reason I built the Outboard Repair Defense Guide. It breaks down what every common repair actually costs, parts and labor, so you can spot a padded quote in seconds. It shows you the exact tricks shops use to pad a bill. It tells you which jobs you can do yourself in an afternoon for the price of the part and which ones are worth paying for. And it walks you through the repair or replace math, so you never pour $3,000 into a motor that was never worth saving. Spot one overcharge and it's paid for itself 10 times over. It's in the description. Get it before you need it, because the people who go looking after the shop calls have already lost. Now, the third thing you lose is resale. And this is where that original price gap finally settles the bill. Yamaha is one of the best value-holding names on the water, in the same conversation as Boston Whaler, Grady White, and Lund. When you sell, that badge puts money back in your pocket. The budget motor does the exact opposite. As one boat seller put it, a Chinese outboard is easy to buy and almost impossible to sell, with savage depreciation because nobody shopping the used market actually wants one. You can watch it happen in the listings. A genuinely nice boat with a bargain motor on the transom drags the whole package price down, sometimes by thousands. Now let's run the math that reframes this entire video because it's the number almost nobody works out before they buy. Take a 25-horse 4-stroke. A Tohatsu runs about $4,200. The comparable Yamaha F25 runs about $5,400. That's a $1,200 gap on the sticker, and it's exactly why people grab the cheaper one. But play it forward 10 years, counting Yamaha's better fuel economy and its stronger resale at the end. And the real difference in total cost shrinks to roughly $900. The $1,200 you thought you were saving was never really $1,200. And remember, that's comparing two good motors. Stack it against a bargain bin Parson you can't resell for anything, and the gap closes even further. Because a motor worth nothing at sale quietly costs you its entire purchase price over the years you own it. There's one more gut check you can do yourself for free this weekend. Drive to any saltwater marina or boat storage yard and just look at the transoms. The ratio of Yamahas to everything else is staggering. That's not an accident, and it's not marketing. That's thousands of owners voting with their own money on what survives the salt and what holds its value when they go to sell. So what do you really lose with a $4,999 outboard? Put it all together, and the honest answer is this. You don't lose much reliability. You lose some refinement, you lose a real chunk of the service network, and you lose resale value. Whether that's a smart trade comes down entirely to how and where you run your boat. Here's the clean decision. The budget motor, especially a Tohatsu Class 1, is a genuinely smart buy when you're in a small or mid-horsepower range, running a lake boat, a backup, or a tender. You're on a real budget, you're handy, or you have a distributor within reach, and you plan to keep the motor instead of flipping it. In that situation, the money you save is money you actually keep. Lean toward the Yamaha when the boat matters more. Saltwater, a primary motor you depend on to get a full boat of people home. A rig you'll want to sell well down the road. A place where having 2,000 dealers standing behind you is worth the premium. In those cases, you're not paying extra for a motor that refuses to break. You are paying for the safety net, the resale, and the polish. And those are real things worth real money. And whatever you decide, know which budget motor you're actually holding. A Tohatsu and a farm store Parson are not the same gamble, even when their price tags look almost identical. One is a quiet workhorse the professionals quietly respect. The other can be a great deal or an orphan you can't fix. And which one you get depends largely on how close you live to somebody willing to service it. That's the real cost of the cheap outboard. And it's almost never the thing people are afraid of. It's not that it won't start on a Saturday morning. It's that when something does go wrong, you want the parts, the mechanic, and the resale value all still there waiting for you. And here's the feeling nobody warns you about. It's standing at the counter while a stranger explains what your motor needs, watching a number climb, and having no idea if you're being told the truth or robbed. That helplessness is the worst part of owning a boat, and it's the one thing I never want to feel again. That's why the Outboard Repair Defense Guide exists, so the next time that call comes, you're the calm one. The one who already knows what's wrong and what it should cost. The person they can't touch. It's in the description. Whatever you end up buying, buy it knowing exactly what you're getting. I'll see you in the next one.